pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Lisa Johnner.
Here.
Jim Hewer.
Here.
Stephen Holmes.
Here.
Entertain a motion for today's agenda.
Move to approve today's agenda.
Second.
McCombs.
Aye.
Hewer.
Aye.
On to item number 3, communications. Board, do you have any communications? Seeing none. On to public comments. This is the portion of the agenda which we can hear from the public on items that are not listed below. These could possibly become future topics for future agendas. Is there any public comments? Anything online? Seeing none. Entertain a motion for today's consent agenda.
I move to approve today's consent agenda.
I'll support.
Hewer.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Moving right along on to business. Item number 1 is Betsy Sturzman from the District Leader Behavioral Health District 5 with Iowa Primary Care Association. Betsy, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming this morning. So you had reached out to us last month, and glad we were able to get you on for the calendar. And I'll just let you kind of turn it over to you. Let us know who you are and what you guys are doing.
Perfect. All right, I think we have our slide deck. Yep, there we go. And if you want to go to the next one, it works too. So I am Betsy Sturzman, and I'm the district leader for District 5 with Iowa Primary Care Association.
And I'm Alex Jacobson. I am a District 5 System Navigator. I'm an in-person navigator for here in Marion County.
So yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's really a nice opportunity to kind of get back out to the counties who were very involved with the mental health and disability services regions, kind of touch base on, all the changes that occurred last July and look at what's going on, what happened in year 1. So that's kind of what we're going to do, talk about the BHASO, talk about kind of what happened over the last year, because I always feel like the transition was over a year ago now. So if we don't talk about what happened in the last year, we're kind of missing out on the whole piece of it. Alex is going to go ahead and talk about system navigation, and then I'll hit on district advisory councils, and then we'll have opportunity for any questions or discussion. All right, I include this slide just because I think it's helpful. Oftentimes others have heard from some of the other behavioral health leadership within Iowa PCA. So I always leave this slide in there because I always think it's nice to be able to put face and a name and kind of remember back to that too. So go ahead. All right, so really just want to kind of touch base. I think it's important to come to the counties and others within the department or within the county as well to really talk about what happened on July 1st of 2025. So as you'll remember, prior to July 1st, a little over a year ago, we had our mental health and disability services regions. And so during that time, the mental health and disability services regions had just what it said, right? They had the mental health and the disability services. And then substance use was kind of over here directly under Iowa HHS. So during that realignment, what we did is the state moved mental health and substance use together because oftentimes people were utilizing both services and they were in 2 different systems. So realigned to behavioral health, so that mental health and substance use, and then moved the disability services over with aging services that is actually now under the disability access points. So why this big overhaul, right? Really trying to, again, combine that mental health and substance use, trying to streamline access. One of the things I always say is that I've been doing this a long time in the mental health and disability services, actually was with the county, moved into the regions, and then moved over with Iowa PCA. But I always got frustrated when people said there were no mental health services available. And oftentimes what we found is that there were services available, but the people, when they needed them, didn't know about them. And so that's always a big piece. And it got confusing trying to navigate 2 different systems, right? Sometimes with the counties, sometimes with the state, and where do I go? So the goal is to make it easier for all Iowans to get the help and support they need. And one of the ways we're doing that is with system navigation. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit. And the other key component is just Iowa Primary Care acting as the Behavioral Health Administrative Service Organization, or BHASO. Okay. who is Iowa Primary Care Association? Again, I talked about I was with the regions, did not know who Iowa Primary Care Association was, so I always think it's important to include this. But Iowa PCA has actually been around a long time. So founded in 1988, the 14 community mental health or the community health centers are the members that make up that association. Again, had a long-standing piece of expanding access to quality, affordable services and really talking about that integrated care. So again, previous system, I always talk about also, we had 15 regions, there were some transitions, which Marion County would have been a part of. So I always kind of go, where did we end up? But one of the things I talk about is, just over the county line, or actually Pleasantville is a really good example of that, right? They cover 2 counties. So it could be somebody that's in Pleasantville, they could be in Warren County, or they could be in Marion County. And so just living a mile down the road could mean that they had to access, they were eligible for different services, they had to do different application processes. So it got confusing. Same thing with mental health and substance use. Trying to navigate those 2 different systems would become confusing. And outcomes weren't satisfactory. One of the things I say, again, working within the regions, we really got to the point where we were measuring outcomes and or outputs, how many services were being provided, how many people, utilized mobile crisis, but we never really got to that outcomes piece, which is like, did they get the service that really improved their life? And so I'm hoping that that's really something we can look at going down the road with Iowa PCA. And duplicative administrative red tape, especially for providers. Again, 2 different regions had to build 2 different ways, 2 different contracts, those types of things. So with the alignment, obviously trying to combat all of those, creating consistent pathways. We are really looking at trying to build and expand continuum of care. I always say within the regions, we did not did a lot of good things, don't get me wrong. But one of the things we weren't tasked with from the legislature was prevention services for mental health. And so that's where I think it's really exciting, because that is one of the continuums that Iowa PCA is really looking at, not just the substance use, problem gambling, tobacco, but also looking at that mental health prevention, stigma reduction, those types of things. So we're really looking at prevention, early intervention, treatment, recovery, and crisis services. And trying to use that funding more effectively, right? That's always our goal with any federal or government funds, and trying to streamline administrative work because we need those providers. All right, here's the map. So I just always think it's helpful to see we have 7 behavioral health districts, and Iowa PCA serves as a central administrative and coordinating body of those districts. What I talk about is with the regions, there were definitely lines drawn. Again, I talked about if you lived across into a different region, your services look different. I always say that the lines within the behavioral health districts are blurry. If somebody, it's not different if you live a mile down the road and you're in a different district, it doesn't matter. We're really trying to look at streamlining some of those things and making it the same, especially system navigation is one of those. We do also have over 128 contracts executed, and mostly those are for access and sustainability funds and core safety net programming. We do actually have 2 contracts with Marion County departments. So one being public health for the tobacco partnership prevention stuff, and then also for the mental health officer at the sheriff's. The other thing I'm just gonna go back a little bit, you don't have to go back, it's okay. But one of the things that I always want to point out to people as well is that we have our contract for safety net funding, but if I, Betsy, want to go in and see a therapist and I don't have insurance, I'm still able to access that service. I just have to go to a Medicaid approved provider, and then they're able to go through the system on the back end and bill similarly to Medicaid. So that service and that opportunity is still available. A lot of people think, oh, do we have to get an application and get approved for Iowa PCA like we did the regions? That's not the case. It's all at the local provider level. All right. So here again, what did we achieve in year 1? It's obviously a transition year. We're trying to take a system and move from 14 and move down to a single entity. But we really worked to build that foundation. So establishing the statewide teams with a district leader, system navigators that are right here in District 5. Really work to engage stakeholders, trying to get out, do presentations, kind of talk about what changes occurred. I think there was a lot of misconceptions that the regions did a great job like promoting the different services that they help build. And then a lot of people thought that those services went away. So really trying to engage stakeholders, talking about the things that are still available. Working on informed decision making, really trying to get that data collection in a place where we can start making data informed decisions and trying to expand our impact. So again, adding additional statewide services with system navigation being one of those big ones. All right, what we've learned, again, we really see that we want to keep that local context. And so really still trying to get out and have these local connections so that we can really evaluate district level needs. Although those lines are blurry and we talk a lot about statewide work, we also understand the importance that local and like, you can't just have this big view. You really do have to look at the different areas because things are different, the needs are different, and the gaps are different. I'll just skip through some of them, but awareness is another big piece of it. And just kind of letting people know the changes that occurred. You're okay. And so one of those big pieces I think is with our system navigation. So we can skip to the next one. So you want to take it from here?
Hey, just to mention again, I'm Alex. I am the in-person navigator for here in Marion County. So I'm over at the UCS building right next to IV. They're Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I'm going to talk a little bit about like the inspiration behind system navigation, and then what we are not, how to get connected to us, and then we'll go over a couple examples just to give you guys a better idea of what we're working with. So kind of inspiration is the behavioral health field and social services field. Very complex. I know when I first got into it, there were so many acronyms to learn, so many different services, so much that just they don't tell you all. So that's what we're here all for. We're here to kind of guide you and learn all that stuff so we can help you guys learn what it is. It's really for everyone too. It's not just for the typical client base you think of. I get calls from all sorts of individuals, teachers, law enforcement, landlords, talking to me about either stuff for their family, might be small stuff, big stuff, could be for community members. So next slide. So what system navigation is, so what we help with is we can provide information, education, guidance, work with assistance on applications. So whether that be I fill out the application for them on my computer or the phone, or I guide them through over the phone how to fill it out on their laptop or computer in the library. We can identify barriers for them and work on ways to overcome them, work on transitioning to other services, and work on referrals and warm handoffs. But what we don't do is we don't provide treatment ourselves, medication ourselves, counseling, crisis intervention. So we work with Your Life Iowa, and actually I think if you go on the next slide. Yeah, so this would be how the general public would access us. It'd be through Your Life Iowa. So they route our calls for like crisis stabilization stuff. We want to get those calls. But for most things outside of that, they would route them to us. So that'd be your best way to get a hold of us. If you are just general public, is either call, text, or chat. And then next slide. But then for providers and partners, there is a line directly into system navigation. So that's where I get a lot of calls from doctors where maybe they've identified, and or like therapists, they do what they do with their clients, but then, you know, that's where the line stops. They need other services. They know that they can't do that with them. So then they can reach out to someone like me, a system navigator, and then I would work with them to help them get connected to someone else. And next slide. And then, so as I mentioned, I am the in-person navigator for here in Marion County. We are working on getting most counties. We don't have 99 navigators yet, but I'm hoping one day we will. But that is something somewhat new, is the in-person stuff. It's always walk-in, but the days and locations vary across the state. Slide. So what makes us unique? So we are a team full of system experts. We all come from a lot of different backgrounds. So before this, I was a have and be his counselor, if you guys are familiar with those terms. But basically, I worked with community members that were on the waiver, and then worked with kids to work on behavior skills. So that's what I know. But then, you know, I might have my coworker right next to me who was a counselor or a therapist in their previous job, and they wanted something different. You know, then I talk to them and like, hey, you know, I have this client. What can we do? It is briefing focused intervention. So we identify those key problems that they have to make sure that they're getting the correct care. So an individual who doesn't know the services, they might not really know what their main problem is. I can get them connected to that service that is fixing their main problem after we have a conversation. Low barrier, no cost. It does not cost a dime for anyone to talk to me or receive services from me. And we work with individuals quite often that can't quite pay for all the services. So we get them connected to services that are free or low cost. Broad reach is statewide. We are trying to, any way we can get connected to people, we are working on ways to do it, in person, whether it be text, phone call, email, pretty much any way you can contact someone in modern day, I'm available to reach that way. And then we were designed for rural areas. We know Des Moines has services, but what's hard is to find services here in rural towns. I come from a small town. I didn't know any services growing up that were available to me. So that's what a big inspiration for this is to help people in rural areas be connected to things that they may not know exist otherwise. Next slide. So we'll go through a couple examples here of calls I may receive. So the newly diagnosed with depression doesn't know what behavioral health services are available in their small town or nearby, and they're worried about stigmas. So if they got connected to me, what I would do is I'd work with them and say, hey, have you ever considered the option of telehealth? They might be hearing the word telehealth for the first time in their lives. So I would help explain to them, what telehealth is, what services they might be able to access to that. A lot of people don't know the difference between therapy and psychiatry. So I might work with them to describe, what works best for you? What are you looking for? So part of it is just getting them connected. It's teaching them just a little bit about what they're getting themselves into. Next slide. And then, so here's an example of someone that would be calling in, not for themselves. So a trusted adult sees someone in distress, but doesn't know what to recommend or how to help. So maybe I'm getting a call from a teacher who or let's say a neighbor. Someone has a neighbor and they're really concerned about their neighbor. They don't know quite how to help them because they might not know the behavioral health services. There's a couple options we can do moving forward. I can do everything through them. I could just talk to them and say, hey, here's this service, and this service. You can bring that to that person, or if they're comfortable with it, they can provide me with that individual's number, their contact information, and then I can work through them. So we have a couple different ways about going things for people that are referring to us. It can be through them, the referring party, or through the individual they're referring us to. So next slide. And then here's something that I think is pretty cool that we do. A person with anxiety knows they need help, but feels paralyzed by phone calls, forms, and logistics. So something I can do for my clients that call in is I can call into a therapist's office or a doctor's office and make that appointment for them. I would just talk to them beforehand. Hey, what are some good days and times for it? And then I would help them create that appointment. Maybe they are okay making the call themselves, but they just don't know what they're getting into when they call. Well, I can call them and say, hey, what's that process like for them when they call in? So we are pretty open to anything. What I tell everyone is, we always have an open door. Please come talk to us. Most of the time we can help. Sometimes there's situations where we can't, but we want you to come talk to us and see if we can. Okay.
I actually enjoy a couple of things I always like to add on about social navigation. One, I heard just a presentation I was doing with the supervisor, which is like somebody came in and needed help with an app on their phone and did walk-in navigation. So we really want to build that relationship with the community and individuals. So really, if there's any needs they have, they're able to utilize system navigation. So that's one piece. It doesn't just have to be to find behavioral health supports. I think one of the top 3 issues that we get called for is actually housing. And we recognize that if an individual is unhoused or they're struggling with their housing, that can create a mental health crisis. And so being able to help with those other pieces, not just getting to a therapy office or to getting the substance use disorder services. The other thing I like to add to about system navigation that I think is important is, again, we have a lot of people already in the community that are working with individuals. I started out providing social work where I would actually be with the individuals, right, and do a lot of what system navigation does, but it never fails. Like, you always run into a new situation where you're like, I've never had this question before. Like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what it is or what the best answer for them is. And so that's what system navigation can be too. I always say to help those helpers that already exist in the community, that's an opportunity to use system navigation as well. The nice thing we talked about, again, a broad reach. There's navigators all over the state, again, with all sorts of different expertise. And so being able for them to lean on all of those different expertise. So when the helpers call from the local, that's like, I just don't know what to do. Likely we have somebody who's dealt with that when you look at a statewide purview. So those pieces I always like to add. Okay, so the other piece that I want to touch on quickly is our district advisory councils. So here you can kind of see a map with the district advisory council seats. You can see where the different seats that represent District 5 are located. Let me go ahead and skip. So the roles and responsibilities, we have multiple different roles that are on our district advisory councils. We have 3 elected officials, 3 individuals with lived behavioral health experience, 3 behavioral health expertise or education, so typically individuals working within the field, and then 1 law enforcement representative. This is really an opportunity for us to get, again, that local feedback from different perspectives as we're looking at District 5, as we're looking at the specific districts, when we're doing that district assessment and evaluation, and then making plans to, make adjustments to the system. Move to the next slide. For our next District 5 Advisory Council will actually be on Tuesday, September 15th. I'm pretty sure that's at 2 p.m. We do, or I should say, we do hybrid meetings where we have an in-person option and online, or like that's twice a year, and then online, it's always online. So then the other 2 times a year, it's online, and you can always get to that through our website. So I included that link. So here's kind of our, why are we here? This is our call to action, which is we want to spread the word about system navigation. So we'd ask that you do that as well. If you know somebody who could use system navigation, if you think there's a group in the community that would be helpful to learn about system navigation, please help spread that word. The other one is to participate in the district advisory councils. We always have public comment time. It's open to the public. It's again just an opportunity for us to gain feedback about what people are seeing in their communities. So always welcome that. And then the last one is just being able to share your observations, ideas, opportunities for collaboration. So we do a formal district assessment process, which includes like a survey and conversations with our contracted community-based organizations. But then part of my role is doing informal assessment throughout the year. So when things aren't working well, definitely want to hear about that. If you feel like a service should be available and it's not, I'm going to hear about that. So please reach out and share that information with me. All right. So that's all we have. I know it's a lot of information. I tried to run through it pretty quick so I don't take your entire meeting. But do want to have an opportunity if you have any questions.
Appreciate that. I do have a few questions. And do you know offhand, how much money you receive for the district and how much is designated to Marion County?
So I do not have that district. I don't have the district level information or county specific. I could probably get, it's difficult to break it down by district, only because we have providers obviously that cross district, right? So we have, a contracted provider, they're providing service in multiple districts potentially. But I can ask some additional questions and get that information to you.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. And then Alex, I have a question for you in regarding, so you're here Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? Okay. So what do we do? And I'm just thinking big picture. I myself, my other job, I work with people that would maybe need some of these services. How do you have, there's a crisis Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Are they supposed to just go to the ER? What's the situation there?
Your Wi-Fi was a great first call. We still work Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays as navigators statewide. I forgot to mention that. We just work remotely. If they're mid-crisis, call your Wi-Fi. Well, they'll route you either to us or to crisis stabilization. But yeah, we still work with individuals Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Just in person specifically is the only time available in person, not.
I would also just reiterate, like mobile crisis that existed with the regions still exists. So a good way to do that is to call your Life Iowa or 988, and then they can get connected if mobile crisis is the appropriate service. If it's not like an immediate crisis, if it is, obviously hospital, law enforcement, all of those crisis services you would use otherwise. If it's doesn't reach that level, obviously our goal as we talk about prevention and early intervention is to meet them sooner. That's when system navigation is a good opportunity.
Right. And so do you see the same people using your services, or do you feel like,
So
have any numbers to say?
Yeah, I've only had about 1 or 2 repeats. They usually call me again directly rather than going through we ask them usually to go back through. But some people just feel more comfortable working with the same person. They don't want to tell another person their whole life story again. So we're willing to do that as well. But mostly it's new clientele. There are, of course, like I said, a couple repeats. I know I've had some colleagues that have continued to work with people, but as far as like length of services, we're usually working with individuals on a 1 to 2 week basis. Sometimes it's shorter, 1 to 2 days. Sometimes it's been a month and a half. I know we just got one of our navigators said they're working with someone to find housing back in March, and they just were able to find them housing now, just with all the barriers that they're going through. But we can go that long if necessary. We want to work with people until they find those supports, till they feel comfortable leaving, leaving us and going to someone.
And big picture, the providers to be able to, I mean, you're just connecting them. What's the wait time? Are you seeing long wait times because mental health issues are rising?
Yeah, I mean, location dependent, because I work statewide still. I get calls from all over the state, and that's where, all of us working together helps a lot. But generally, I would say on average, for a lot of different services too, 2 weeks is wait time. For some things, a lot of SUV inpatient services, that's roughly 2 weeks, sometimes longer, depending on where you're at, sometimes shorter. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, I just was thinking, let's just say we have somebody that has been, visited, the jail, and they can see, I mean, it's a Tuesday and Thursday, can they then say, hey, this is, here's some information, you can seek these people for possible help or things like that. Is that something that we have with the local sheriff's office, so they know that information? Okay. All right, great. I don't have any further questions. I appreciate your presentation, so.
I'll do a quick question. I'm a bit of a IT kind of guy, so I try to link everything to our website and everything. I like to look at some of these things as a one-stop shop. You go to the Marion County Iowa.gov website, and then you can drill down and find your information or whatever. Is that something that you can provide for us to add to our website in order to provide access to people who, as people are getting more and more accustomed to everything is going through the internet, that would be a great approach. And again, you talked about confidentiality and all those things. That way people could just dive right in there, get your information and deal with you directly. And that way we could provide that information 24 hours a day. So if you could get that information to us, we appreciate it. And we'll work to try to get a link onto our website.
And that's really why we're trying, so that's why we tell individuals, family members to go through Your Life Iowa, trying to really make it easy, right? Usually Your Life Iowa is advertised quite a few places to try to make it easy, like, okay, where do I go? I don't have to remember this other number. And so that's why, so Your Life Iowa is the information we would typically put up.
Okay.
So yeah, awesome.
Thank you guys, appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
Entertain a motion to close discussion.
Move to close discussion.
Second.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller,
On to item number 2. This is a presentation from Tana Moorhead. She is with the U.S. Small Business Administration Disaster Assistance. Morning, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. I'd like to share this with you. I can,
Sure.
Okay, I am Tana Moorhead with the Small Business Administration, Disaster of Recovery Assistance. We are here, field staff is here in Iowa. To assist those individuals, homeowners, renters, and small businesses who were impacted by the flooding July 2nd through the 4th. So we do have what we call a disaster loan outreach center. It is located in Polk County. That may be a little bit of a distance from here, but applicants who were impacted can also apply online for our disaster loan program. What you have before you actually is a fact sheet pertaining to the disaster loan. It is a low interest disaster loan. I like to call it a disaster friendly loan so that it does help those individuals to get back on their feet. So the details of this basically describe and highlight the benefits of the disaster loan. There is the physical, and then there is the economical injury, which is for a business, which would include a nonprofit organization, faith-based organizations, community organizations, and so forth. There is credit criteria that is a part of this, and that is credit acceptable to SBA. And then repayment ability is also a factor. And then as long as the actual applicant is in the county where the declaration is deemed. There are interest rates that are affordable, flexible, and reliable for the applicant. The interest rate for homeowners is as low as 2.8, for businesses is as low as 4.0, and then for the nonprofits it is as low as 3.6 interest rate. The terms are actually maxed up to 30 years. Now, that doesn't mean that a person would have to pay on the loan for 30 years, but SBA stretches out, the payment actually so that it is affordable and it doesn't bring on a hardship for the applicant. Page actually speaks about the benefits of an SBA loan. This is actually one of my favorite flyers. As I said, it is affordable, so there is no cost to apply. For and sometimes there are people when there is a disaster declaration, people come out of the woodworks and want to charge. We do not charge, so that is a benefit to the client. These are taxpayer dollars. We are good stewards over it as well. We have below market interest rates. As I said, affordable loan terms up to 30 years. These loan payments are also fixed, so it is not at a variable rate. There's also no prepayment penalty for if a applicant or if they've gotten approval and have gotten disbursement on the loan, they're now a borrower, so they are not having to be penalized for prepayment. With this loan, there is zero interest, zero payment for the very first 12 months. So that gives the borrower ample time to ramp up and, well, I say ample time, but some time to ramp up, regroup, reassess, and get on their feet after a disaster or declaration. There is no obligation to even take the loan actually as well. A lot of times people may like to weigh their options to see which is the best for them. The funds are also available before insurance settles. So an applicant can apply for a disaster loan as they are applying for insurance, the claiming for, damages from their insurance. There may be other funds coming from other sources as well, too, that they may be receiving assistance from. So there's no collateral required for loans up to $50,000. And applicant or borrower may be eligible for refinancing or relocation. And that's refinancing of a mortgage or business assets if they have assets that they may have financed. That there's the ability to get that refinanced as well. And as I said, for flexibility, the first payment is deferred for 12 months, zero interest, zero payment. There's also loan modification as well. If a borrower needs to modify their loan, they also, if at the time of disbursement, they can return money back if they don't use the full proceeds, and they would return that back the first year. If they need more, they can also ask for more and request more. They would just produce documentation stating that they need additional funds. And then there's mitigation. The mitigation option is actually another benefit, and that cost is up to 20% on top of the approved loan. So if they need to do mitigation improvements, that could be sump pumps, elevation of the property, generators, things that would minimize reduce the risk of another disaster happening again to the property. The next sheet actually is specific to the homeowners and renters. It's basically just highlighting the benefits of the disaster loan and then what they need to apply and how to apply, and then information to contact SBA for assistance. And then the same for small businesses and nonprofits, benefits of the disaster loan. And then I will also go to the road to reconsideration. A lot of times applicants may receive, if there is insufficient information, or if there may be a hiccup with something in their financials, they may receive a declination or withdrawal. A declination means that there is a barrier somewhere, could be with credit issue or what have you. But they have 6 months to reconcile or resolve that issue and come back to SBA with proof that the issue has been resolved. And then it'll be reviewed, and then they may proceed with the application if SBA deems that it's, able to be, the application is able to be continued. With withdrawals, that means that there's just information that is requested of the applicant. We do look at videos, pictures, to be able to determine the cost, perhaps, of what it would take to repair or replace any damaged items. And so the road to reconsideration is something that we definitely want to the applicants and borrowers to know, because a lot of times if someone receives that, they're discouraged. We don't want them to be discouraged. We want them to come to the center or call the center to navigate the path of getting them to an approval status. And then lastly, the last page that you see, we have prepare now and protect against future disasters. So we do talk about ways to prepare for disasters. No one is ever expecting a disaster or plans for it, but we want to, just in case, to have information available and resources available, for homeowners, renters, and businesses, actually, so that when or if a disaster happens, you have options. You have a sound option. You know about the program, and you know that this is something that can help you expediently. With that, I believe that is it. I told you it would be 10 minutes.
Thank you so much. So clearly obviously you reached out, and due to the heavy rains on July 2nd through the 4th, is this then something, if we were to have another one, you guys would be, is this just I know you talked about future, but are you gonna send out something so we would know if there was something's availability? Do you get what I'm asking, if this were to happen again?
Sure. So the way that a declaration takes place, it does have to come from the governor. So the local officials do the, pre-disaster assessments and so forth. So once it is established, then yes, we do send out information, typically to local officials, to the county, to the state, letting them know that SBA is coming to the rescue.
No, I appreciate that. And honestly, the law I've been here, this is my 8th year. I don't believe we've ever had anybody present. So I'm grateful for you.
Oh, thank you.
And I do
Thank
think
you.
it is important that people kind of know that it's out there.
Yes.
So how long is the loans available on a declaration?
So for this declaration, and it varies disaster by disaster. Some disasters are not as catastrophic as others. For this one, the physical damage, the deadline for physical damage is September 21st. So an applicant has up to that date, and there are grace periods that are given. But we want people to get the application in as soon as possible in case there are any hiccups with getting, the information. And then that way they can also get started on their repairs and replacements. And even if they have already spent their own personal money for the repairs and replacement, they can submit an application to be considered for reimbursement. For the economic injury disaster loan deadline, that's April 23rd of next year. So we give businesses 9 months, generally from the date of the declaration. And so we just try to hit those areas that are most impacted. Obviously, this is county level, but we ask that if you can share with your constituents and any other organizations that you may know that may have been affected, I'm happy to do a presentation just similar to this and speak and just share the information so people are aware.
I didn't see that, it's already up on.
The funds themselves, is everything run through the SBA and the loans are generated through the SBA, or is it a local bank but the loans are underwritten by the SBA?
Department of Treasury.
Okay.
And it is reviewed, SBA does the approval. Yeah,
Not a local fund.
yes, right, exactly. And these are taxpayer dollars, so anyone impacted, you're using your own money, so sometimes we get people feel guilty about loan or using the funds, but it is our dollars that is at work in helping others to get back to normalcy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Need a motion to close discussion?
Move to close discussion.
Support.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Johnner.
On to item number 3, board before us is the Pella Airport Zoning Board of Adjustment. This would be the Marion County representative. Dennis Vogel lives in that area in which we could. Dennis, as a pilot, is very familiar with the area, and so he has applied. The application has come through the city of Pella to us. If we approve, then I believe it goes back to the city. So I personally know Dennis. I do think he would do a good job, but obviously I want to hear from the board.
And I have no issues with it. That'd be a great addition.
No further questions. Entertain an appointment for Dennis Vogel to be the Marion County representative for 5 years on the airport's on board of adjustments.
Move to approve Dennis Vogel for the Pella Airport Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Second.
Mueller.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Item number 4 is resolution 26-91. Authorize FY 27 transfer funds from the role-based fund to the secondary road board. This is something we do each year. It is a resolution in which it is formally transferring those funds. And in the resolution, you will see that it's roughly $3 million transferred from the rural basic fund to the secondary road fund.
Yep. I move to approve resolution 2026-91.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Item number 5 is ordinance 2026-2. This is the approval of this would approve the second reading of a proposed zoning ordinance. And I would turn this over to Missy, but I believe we spoke about this last time.
So again, yeah, this is the second reading. You guys had the public hearing and the first reading at the last board meeting. Yeah, this is parcel F of the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter of 2276-18. This requirement's redone from A1 to ag residential is a requirement when it exceeds the requirements of 55.246, which exceeds 4 buildable lots per land use plan again shows this area to be agricultural. The subject parcel is on T17, where there are several other rural residential lots as well as other ag residential zoning with the same requirement. This has an improved entrance from the road department as well as remnant, both the remnant and both lots. Improved entrances.
Missy, thank you for that. Since we did the first reading, I have not personally heard from anybody, so no issues there, and I see no issue with this. So, if the board has no further questions, entertain a motion for ordinance of approval of the second reading, 2026-2.
Move to approve the second reading of 2026-2.
Second.
McCombs.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Johnner.
Item number 6 is ordinance 2026-2. This will be waiving the third and authorizing final approval for each obligation. Entertain
I move we waive the third reading of ordinance 2026-2.
I'll second.
Mueller.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Item number 7 is resolution 2026-73. This is approval of Steamboat Acres Plat 2 minor plat subdivision. The board, again, this is just finalizing this.
This is the second part of the process to allow the property currently owned by Mr. Skippers to be split. Mr. Skippers will be keeping lot 1, which you see the buildings on, which is 5.84 acres. Ron and Carrie Steenhoek will be acquiring lot 2. At this time, they don't have any plans. They acres, which abuts this to the west, was required for the same reason, and it's currently farm ground. So that's the intentions with this, is to continue as farm ground. It meets all the minimum requirements of chapter 56 of the Marion County Land Division Ordinance. We do have all the paperwork in place, the adjoining paperwork that's required to record this plat.
Or do you have questions?
Move to approve resolution 2026-73.
Second.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
I would take a minute. Because if you do not feel like you're going to stay, if you don't, I know you probably didn't want to seem like you're leaving, so I can take a minute if you guys want to. But if you're wanting to stay, you're more than happy to. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I believe some flyers and I keep this on cards if anybody wants them.
We have a few more Kleenexes.
Yeah, I'm a weenie.
Thank you. Item number 8 is resolution 2026-92. This is a support of the proposed terms to be included in an agreement between Marion County and East Elementary Apartments LLC. Our economic development director is with us, and he has been working with the East Elementary project in Pleasantville, and so he has a proposal that he would like to submit to us, and I'll turn it over to Dan. Thank you, Dan.
Perfect. Well, thank you for your time, board. I appreciate the consideration. As Keisha mentioned, we have been working with Kristen Fish-Peterson, who I believe may be zooming in, but in case you have any questions about the development at large, but this specific resolution would authorize us to move forward with a development agreement for $5,000 per unit. That would be a low interest loan out of LMI funds.
Okay.
And we've talked with the attorney, and that is permissible under Iowa code. So they're proposing 17 units, so it'd be an aggregate of $105,000. That would be predicated on the fact that she has applied for workforce housing tax credits, but if she does not receive those, then this would be a moot point. And you will see this all again in a development agreement if you so choose to move forward. So questions?
I know that this has been in the process for quite some time, and if she could kind of give the board a bigger picture of what she's looking at, I would think it would be helpful, so we understand the project a little bit more, so we don't have visuals. So she able to?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you for being on.
Thank you for the time today. I really appreciate it. I'm Kristen Fish-Peterson. I do live in Wisconsin, but I have invested, all of my real estate investments are in Iowa. I acquired the elementary school from the city, I think it was January of 2023 or 2024. And we've been diligently working to get the property certified as a historic property through the National Park Service and the State Historic Preservation Office. We have achieved historic certification at this point. And we've applied for workforce housing tax credits now. This is our second time applying. I think, you know, the state wants to make sure everything is well organized and ready to go when they approve them. And I feel like at this year we have the best path forward. We had a phase 1 project through an emergency catalyst grant that the state of Iowa provided to us to stop the water from coming in the roof. So in 2024, I believe, maybe it was, I think it was in 2024, we did the work to seal the roof, and that was a $200,000 project to seal the roof and prevent any further water damage to the property. So we've had dehumidifiers running in the building since then. I pay the electric bill every month. And right now we're just waiting for the rest of the funding to come into place. This will be about a $5 million renovation of this property. And the challenge with properties like East Elementary is that it doesn't make financial sense for a developer to do this on their own. And so these incentives are critical.
We can't hear you, and maybe, I don't know if it's frozen on.
147,000.
There you go, okay, you froze there for a minute, so.
I'm sorry.
So we heard it doesn't make it, you know, make sense, but, you know, you have to have partnerships and.
Yes.
Elaborate for that.
So we have applied for the state historic tax credits. That application we applied last year and we weren't ready. So we will be applying again with the deadline in September this year. We'll use the federal historic tax credits with that, and then hopefully the workforce housing tax credits. I'm still raising some private investment dollars. I've put over $247,000 of my own money into this already, based for the architect, the historian, and then the ongoing maintenance. We just had a tree cut down. A tree was splitting on the property, so we needed to keep that safe, and ended up cutting a large tree down a couple weeks ago. But the support of the Marion County Board on this project would be significant and impactful and very much appreciated. I do want to check the math though on that, Dan. $5,000 at 17 units is 85,000 total. So I want to confirm whether the amount is 105.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be either a grant of $6,176 per unit, or we have to change the total to 85. I apologize, I didn't catch that earlier.
That's my fault, not yours. And we should say there's roughly, in that LMI fund, we have roughly $143,000 total. So that would still allow roughly, depending on what the board's, if we get my math right, at least $40,000-ish in there, knowing that money will come back. And actually, I mean, it's entirely possible we could do this again if we so chose.
I was hoping it will come back.
Yes, we are hoping it will come back.
So, knowing this building, knowing where this building's at, it's, for those that don't, it is in the downtown district. I'm up on Pleasantville, it's very close there. And, I remember this building when, you know, as a young person, my grandparents lived right back by this building, and I played in the playground. And so to watch its demise and just not being taken care of, and then somebody showing interest, it is a beautiful building. It could do some really downtown vitalization. When Dan come and spoke to me about it, I said, well, if it would work with the LMI dollars, I think that makes sense. I think that this would be a bigger project that we could help with. And if it was a low, no interest loan, like he had talked about, then fine. So I have no real issues with it, since it is what the LMI dollars were meant to do. So those LMI dollars they're low and moderate income dollars. So it is for a certain, those money is set aside for certain things. So it just can't be used for things. So, but yeah.
No, I don't have a problem with it. That was the intent of the LMI funds.
I totally agree with that. I think one of the things that we as a board need to look at what are the potential investments for those LMI dollars to eventually come back, help communities, and eventually return those funds back to be reinvested elsewhere. I think this is a great opportunity for us to do a portion of it and still have some remainder if another project comes up. And also to move a property off of a non-tax tax roll into a taxable tax roll. So I think this is a win-win-win for everybody involved in favor of it.
I do want to remind the board that the LMI situation after January 1st, the way we understand the code, there will no longer be LMI collection. Those funds then will be designated to paying back to their new loan tip. So, but this money is sitting there, and I do think it would be used wisely. So, I guess to me, what we would have is we have this resolution. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a resolution. We do need to make sure the correction of 85,000. But other than that, what would I have? Other issues. So, entertain a motion.
Move to approve resolution 2026-92.
Okay, and with the provision of moving it from under.
With the correct, with the
Yeah.
correct.
The eight,
Yeah.
yeah. Second.
Was it your motion, Jim? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
it was.
Sorry, I was just. So the section one, subsection one, it's gonna be for 85,000 in aggregate, is that the correction? All right, McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
John.
We're excited for you. We can't wait for Dan and yourself to present to us once you are moving along, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 9 is a memorandum of understanding between South Central Iowa Solid Waste and Marion County. Tyler.
Yes, so separate from the real estate transaction piece, Ross County Attorney's Office and I have been working with the landfill and their legal counsel to come up with a memorandum of understanding regarding some of the materials that are on site at the clay shop. So the MOU basically states deadlines for the road department to remove various materials, those included within the building and those outside of the building. Specifically, we wanted to not handle the salt and sand twice, and that's how this discussion originated. We would like to just leave the salt and sand in that shed. The first few 2 or 3 snowstorms will go there, have an inload or load trucks from that location, then we don't have to move it twice or unnecessarily, and that should take care of that. We do have some materials in the yard also, which we're just in our busy season right now, so we preferred that we move those in the winter also when we had availability. So this MOU addresses all of those issues. Ross had worked with their legal counsel, and I was copied of an email recently that confirmed that they were okay with moving forward with this, separate from the real estate transaction, but yet prior to finalizing all those documents, we wanted to get this in place to get so everyone's on the same page post them taking ownership.
I appreciate that. There's only one question I would have, and this would be directed more to the council. It talks about damage and restoration. The county shall enable repair all damage caused by its activities, restore disturbed areas. Are you have any concerns in regarding disturbed areas? Does that mean just like if you were to dig a hole and?
Right, and we work that, I kind of asked that question to their staff as well, what the intent was with that, and you know, we have no intentions of digging. Everything will be is stored on the surface now. Or if we happen to damage the building, we're moving salt, sand, you know, I think that is fair. That we should make a repair. Obviously, we have no intent in damaging the building.
We haven't damaged it to this point, it's fairly likely that we will be worked.
Otherwise, I have no further questions. No further. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve the memorandum of understanding between South Central Iowa Solid Waste Agency and Marion County.
I'll support.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye.
McComb.
Aye.
Item number 10 is resolution 2026-93, Marion County Junction 92 Office Project Change Order number 4.
Yes, so this is a deduct of a change request that was included in one of the previous change orders. So, it ended up during construction, we did not need to do the additional work that we thought we were going to need to do as a result of the value engineering that was part of the project post bid. So happily, we can deduct roughly $1,100 from the project. And not do that additional work because our contractors were able to accommodate the work additional change, so.
Makes sense. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve resolution 2026-93.
Johnner.
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
Item number 11 is resolution 2026-92. This is the approved allocation of general basic funds for Junction 92 project. Tyler.
Yeah, so we'd had some brief discussions about this, I think it was May and June timeframe, and I think I sent you a summary of where I thought we were at the time, stating roughly 370,000 at that point. I think we'll be under that, definitely. But we do have remaining work remaining to be completed that's under contract for the exterior concrete, the office building. I'll give you a brief rundown of what that includes. About 51,000 remaining for the exterior concrete contract, 145,000 for the office building, 27,000 for electric, 5,000 for HVAC, 7,500 for plumbing, 15,000 for the front gate, and then 5,000 is my estimate for miscellaneous electric work and we have a light pole at the gate, and then we're gonna have a monument sign that our staff is making out of salvage materials from the Dollar Bridge. And with the same Marion County Road Department. So we'll have a light on that sign as well. And then kind of so those are the known costs remaining under contracts. The unknown would be with IT, kind of to get us up and running. We have a number, but there could be anything from, I don't know, $0 to $40,000 unknowns yet that we're trying to work through. So my request here is for $350,000 from the general fund to cover these remaining costs for the project.
The board, Tyler and I have discussed this a little bit. In Department 99, there is a line item that we allocated 300. And then there is also in Department 99, right there, there's another 50,000 set aside. I do think that the 350 would be the max. Tyler and I spoke about how we hoped it would come under that. We would not need to use all that. I also want the board to know that when it comes to selling of the property, since we have sold the properties before, that has gone into the capital improvement fund. Jake and I had spoke, and I suggested that those funds continue to go to capital improvement fund, and we will be having things down the road that will need to be, whether it's fixing something in Tyler's or the courthouse or whatever it may be. So I guess long and short, we have the money designated. This isn't taking away from anything. It'll be just nice to get the project done, but I just want to be here for it, I guess.
No, I think that, I have no problem with this at all. I'm kind of familiar with it and I know what's going on there. Like I said, the sale of these other properties, whether it goes in the general fund or where it goes, at least it is money that's coming in.
I have no issues with this. Clearly it's been allocated and discussed. So this is not a surprise. And I think, time to move on and finish the project.
Yes.
Get to the point where it's cleaned up, working and utilize that maybe now.
What's nice about the whole project, it's something that's gonna benefit the county for the next 50, 60 years. I mean, we were gonna have to start fixing up the places we had, and that was gonna cost a lot of money. Plus, can keep equipment inside.
Okay, no further discussion, entertain a motion for resolution 2026-92.
Move to approve 2026-92.
Second,
McCombs,
aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner.
Thank you.
Tyler, real quick question, are we planning an open house or anything for people to come and see it?
No current plans, but yes, I do
Okay.
intend.
I would recommend that we,
We have been getting a lot of requests for that, and taxpayers or see that, so want to see it. So I do not have any definitive plans at this point, but we need to get some things wrapped up, safety wise and organized first, but yes, we will.
good, I would recommend that we do that, maybe open house, so people can
And if we
see
could
what
do
we're
it
doing with people's money.
Yeah,
this
no, I
fall,
agree.
that would be great. I
Yeah,
would prefer it to be this fall.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay,
Thank you.
I appreciate that, good question. Item number 12, board of supervisor updates. You have anything?
I have a conservation commission meeting on the 18th.
I have none.
I have a board of health next week, other than that. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second,
McCombs,
aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner.
Thank you, everyone.